Folks, I am here with Ken Hoffman, owner of Quantum Media Systems. I have to say, my favorite stop of CEDIA every year. I think the first time I met you was maybe 6 or 7 years ago.
Could be, yes.
You had a room, gosh, I can't even remember what venue, maybe in Dallas.
Well, 2 years ago we were in Dallas.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
And last year we were here in Denver.
But
Yes.
every year it gets bigger. I
Yeah.
can't believe I'm saying this, but it gets better.
Right.
What you were just showing me
Right.
is just mind-blowing. I can't even really begin to describe it. So how have you
Right.
done this?
Well, each year we have to do something better than the year before. So it puts pressure on us to try to do it. This year it's a little bit bigger. We have a 20-foot wide wall. It's basically in a cinemascope fashion. So it's 20-foot wide, 9-foot tall. The big thing last year was that we received DCI listing. So we became officially able to do digital cinema content for commercial theaters, for in the residential space for individuals who have permission to do that.
Which is next level viewing.
Yes.
Once you see it,
Right.
everything else just doesn't look quite right.
So the interesting thing about that is the specs are higher level than what we normally see in the residential consumer space. So it's 12-bit, 444, 100% P3 color space, big bandwidth, a lot of color, almost all the way to Rec 2020. And because that required us to do it, we're able to play everything at that level. And when we look at like a Blu-ray level or Apple TV level, which is normally 10-bit, 422, it doesn't have to be P3 color space. It makes that look even better. So everything is at a higher level.
And getting that certification was a big deal
Right.
for you guys because it gets you more ingrained into the Hollywood world, right? With, creators.
Exactly. So that's a requirement to be operating with screening rooms. We do post-production. We do a lot of work in the motion picture industry, and that requires very accurate color, very accurate grayscale. And if we have that accuracy, then we're allowed to use it for all those purposes. So then we play consumer content, it just looks that much better.
Right. And you were telling me that once folks on that side of the industry see what your screens can do, they want a piece of that action and a way of creating content. They want to change the way they're creating content.
So what's happening there is a movement toward higher light levels. In the consumer space, we're used to having high dynamic range, HDR10, HDR10 plus, that gives us greater light and able to do highlights around a particular scene, make some lighter, some darker, et cetera. In the motion picture industry, they're limited to what we know is 14-foot Lamberts or 48 nits. There's a movement toward 108 nits. A lot of movies are out, and that's played on Dolby Cinema systems. And now with the LED wall, we can even go even higher. So the next level is 300 nits, high dynamic range. So LED walls like ours can play at that level and even higher if they want to do that.
And what does that give you in terms of what you're seeing on the screen?
Right, a much brighter image. It makes the blacks look incredible. Grayscale looks very accurate, much brighter. It's a much more enjoyable experience. After you see movies on our LED wall and then you go to your local theater and watch the normal 48 nit or 14-foot Lambert, it looks very, very dark and just doesn't look that colorful.
I would assume also the small details.
Yeah, the details look a lot crisper and cleaner, et cetera. Yes.
Okay, so one of the things that people say about micro LED walls, well, you can't have sound coming from behind them. The sound system in here is incredible. What are you using and how are you getting the sound to sound like it's coming from the middle of the screen?
So we work with virtually all of the audio companies, all the speaker manufacturers, and we've been encouraging speaker manufacturers to come up with a strategy to work with the wall. So obviously, yeah, you can't put the speakers behind the screen, so you got to put them around the screen. So here we have a brand called TPI, in which case there's 3 speakers above LCR, 3 speakers below LCR, and they have a separate processors that allows that to image properly on the screen.
Interesting.
We've worked with Wisdom Systems. They do it a little differently. We've worked with Meyer Sound Systems, Pro Audio, a number of different, JBL, number of different companies. So different audio companies have different strategies, and we work with all of them.
That's really interesting. So for hesitant to say like the common folk out there, how will we eventually get access to this type of screen?
As far as pricing.
Well, I mean,
Or-
and just maybe commercially speaking, or,
Yeah.
you and I were talking off camera about potentially there being co-ops or clubs in certain areas where people buy into a club and then they have access to
Right.
super high-end experience like this
Right.
in more of a private setting.
That would be cool. There's also some exhibitors that we've been talking to that are like have maybe special screens. They may have a 20 screen complex. Maybe one or two of those would be special like this. They may charge $4 or $5 more per ticket, but be able to then allocate funds to upgrade their system to an LED wall. Yes.
And the commercial side of things, you're saying it's kind of like a slow-moving giant.
Right.
It takes a long time for change to happen,
Right.
but you're influencing the creation side.
Right.
Do you think eventually
Yes.
it's going to force theaters to
Yes.
bring in screens like this?
Exactly. Because like right now you have Dolby Cinemas that have a higher light level, 108 nit, and they've influenced the whole industry. We've now gone a step further. We're going up to 300 nits. So that's a big influence. And as more content comes out at that level, more movie theaters are going to want to play it.
Right.
Sure. Yes.
Are there any commercial spaces in the United States right now where someone can buy a ticket and experience this?
There are a few, they're very, very limited right now. There are some overseas,
Okay.
very few in the U.S. So
Where in Asia or
mostly China, but India, China, there's a number of walls. I think the Chinese themselves, there's a subsidization, sorry.
yeah, no, that's a tough word.
So they do get a little help to bring in a more expensive technology there. So you have seen more in that area.
How does this screen get moved around? When you like after today, when the show closes,
We tear it down and we take it somewhere else. So our walls are typically permanent. So when we do a project, it's usually we put it up and it stays there. So for trade shows, yeah, we will take it down and then use it somewhere else.
you have giant crates that you pack everything into.
Exactly.
One of the remarkable things about this, as opposed to a lot of the micro LED walls that I've had contact with over the years, is that you can't see the seams
Right.
in the screen. How do you pull that off?
Right. So based on the technology, we have a lot of intellectual property based into the type of diodes we use, the chips we use, the cabinets, the calibration process that's done. A lot of the LED community might spend 1 or 2 or 3 days, depending on the size of an LED wall. We might spend 3, 4, 5 days or 6 days, et cetera. So we put a lot more time and effort. We have a lot better, lot more advanced procedures. And as a result, you don't see the seams.
Right. And in other words, you're different because it's proprietary.
Right.
It's not off the shelf parts that you're using.
So all of the components are built to our specifications. It's our controller, it's our software. So we have some that are 100% for us, some of it that we've just chosen those components and they've been built for us. Yeah.
Do you resell any of those to other
Components? No.
components?
Everything's
No.
done for our system.
Really? So it's all in-house, it stays in-house, and
Exactly.
if you want access to it, you have to go to Quantum.
And that's the other thing. Everything we do on site is turnkey for the video wall. So we supply the system, we ship it to the site, we work with a local integrator who then integrates it into the system. The builder or contractor will put up a plywood backing. They'll have the Cat 6A cabling available for us. Then we put up the structure, we build in the cabinets, we insert the pixel cards, we do the calibration, we do the commissioning meaning every item, whether it's an Apple TV, DirecTV, Kaleidoscape, has its own signature. So everything gets dialed in separately.
Okay.
We do our own video processing. We have our own, all of our technology is ours. So it's 100% soup to nuts us.
Excellent. So now I know what's going to happen when it comes into my home.
The other thing we do is we have multi-image processing. So we can have a number of windows. We can set up like a Las Vegas casino sports book kind of situation. We have one very large wall going in soon that the client wants 16 windows across it. So he wants to watch 16 different sports.
Wow.
And the interesting thing is the way we do our processing, we're able to take 4K in, and actually each one of the windows, even if they're a little smaller or a little larger, can actually play 4K. Even if it's not the right physical size to do the exact number of diodes. So we're able to upgrade or down down res or up res, so
Sure.
to speak,
And
to be
this
able to make that work.
this is 8K capable?
This is 4K.
This is 4K
Yeah.
capable. Do you have an 8K capable
Yeah,
screen?
we've actually created, we have a demo location in Hollywood on a studio, at an actual production studio.
Mm-hmm.
And we built a very large wall, and that's actually 8K digital cinema wall. So
Yeah, that's the
it's
one that I'd like to see.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Excellent. Okay, so to wrap things up, you had touched briefly on pricing. What does something like this cost?
Well, these are very expensive, obviously.
Yeah.
So if you're comparing this to a very high-end projector, high-end screen, all the equipment that goes with that, how you build your theater, et cetera, it gets a little closer to that package, so to
Sure.
speak. So we have projects that may start in the $150,000, $200,000 range, and then we have some projects that are over $1 million. So and everywhere in between. So everything is custom designed.
Sure.
So it depends on the design.
Sure, and that's not, I mean, for a lot of you out there watching this, that sounds crazy expensive, but in the world of custom integration, there are $200,000 projectors.
Exactly.
So it isn't that out of whack in terms of
Right.
what you're going after in that market space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent, Ken. Well, thanks so much for
Thank you
hanging
very
out with
much.
me today
Thank you.
and chatting on camera again.
Great. Thank you.
Always love coming to see what you have, and I cannot wait to see what you have coming along for next year.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Everyone out there, you can like, share, subscribe. Definitely come hang out with us on our home theater forum over at avnirvana.com.